Okay, so does anybody have any questions tonight? Or any comments about what they liked or didn't like about the book? Yes. She was upset when it was done. I was not. I tell you, 500 pages, 5 years of writing a book. I guess, I don't know. I think one of the greatest things I learned in the process of writing was humility. I received at least 60 rejections just from agents. Something Merle talked about is just getting your foot in the door is hard, and then actually getting people to read it. But, 60 rejections. Finally, I found one agent that was willing to take it on. And I figured, she's probably had a lot of successful novels, and she's willing to take on this small, risky art project. And then to my surprise, she sold it to a publisher, Amy Einhorn at Penguin, in about a week. So then I thought, well, I don't think anybody outside of Mississippi is going to read it. My family has to read it. And then a few weeks after the book came out, I started getting these letters and these emails from readers. And one of the first earlier ones I got was from Rome. I live in Atlanta. I thought it was Rome, Georgia. But it was Italy. And she told me in very broken English that she identified with the book because it made her reflect on some of their own race and class issues. And I think that was the first time I realized that this message that I had thought was very private, living inside my little white bubble in Mississippi, that it was actually connecting with people outside of the South. And I think that was just one of my proudest moments. I try to share this message everywhere I go. And the truth is, if nobody remembers The Help in 10 years, that is fine. I just want them to remember the message that I tried to convey in the book, and that is we are all just people. No matter whether we're black or white or, was a Tridel or a Chi-O or from Italy, Rome, Italy, or Rome, Georgia. We're all just people, and not that much separates us. Did anybody? Yes, ma'am. How's the book doing in the South? Well, Southerners were really my early readers because my family and my friends have huge mouths. And they were going to make sure everybody in town read it, whether they wanted to or not. But, that doesn't mean that everybody's thrilled with the story. I'm lucky because most of the time people approach me because they like the book. But that's not to say, everyone is that happy. I mean, white people come up to me and say, I loved it. You nailed it. White people come up to me and say, it wasn't like that. Black people come up to me and say, it just made me uncomfortable. Black people come up to me and say, you got it right. But I sincerely mean this. Whether they like it or not, I am just so happy that people are talking about the taboo subject that I was taught growing up you didn't discuss. It was unladylike, it was tacky, and that is the subject of race. I'm just so proud, and I think it's because people are talking about it and arguing about it, and when you put a book on the table and put that as the platform for starting a conversation, it's a lot easier to talk about something than to just starting on it from nowhere. So I'm really happy about that. Yes, ma'am. God, well, that's how we talk. I think y'all talk funny. I felt like I was just playing back a tape recorder in my head. And that was really, for me, that was the first voice that came to me was the voice of Dimitri, who I loved so much. She died when I was 16, and I was living in New York, and right after 9/11, our phones had been cut, and our email was cut, and our cell phones didn't work. And I wanted to call my family and tell them I was okay, but nobody could do that. So I did what a lot of writers do, and that is I started writing in a voice that comforted me, and that was Dimitri. That's how the book is the first chapter in the book. The question is, was I nervous about the line I had crossed by writing in the voice of a black person? And really, I was writing it, I didn't think anybody was going to read it. I was writing it as a source of comfort. I wanted to hear Dimitri's voice, and I think, after about 25 pages, I realized, that egg cracked open in my head. I thought, oh my gosh, what was Dimitri thinking all those years? I mean, we knew how we felt about her. We'd never asked her what she was thinking all those years about us or about any situation. So I wasn't nervous at all, and I wrote it with real abandon, just exactly the way I remembered it. And then, when I found out it was going to be published, I got pretty nervous. And, not everybody in my family's thrilled. Heck, I'd never done this before. I didn't know you couldn't use real names and real stories. So yeah, there are a few people in my family that don't speak to me anymore, but I didn't like them that much anyway. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. So when we started the process of selecting a cover, my publisher sent me this gorgeous black and white photograph of an older black hand holding a white baby's hand, and I loved it. And I emailed them, I said, I've fallen in love with this. And within 30 seconds, they called me and said, oh my God, we can't use that, never mind. People might think it's about race. So we went through the process of about 25 or 30 other selections until they finally found a cover that has absolutely nothing to do with the book. I think it's a gorgeous cover. It's a painting by Ellen Granter. She's so talented. And people call me and email me all the time and say, what do those three birds mean? Is that Hilly on one side and Skeeter on the other? Are those the maids and that's that? And I'm like, it's whatever you want it to be. You could put that cover on any book in America. It's funny, I told him, after all those selections, I said, look, I don't care what you put on there. You can put a toilet on the front for all I care. I don't give a rat's ass as long as it's not purple or yellow.